Hey guys, it's Penguin here and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing yet again the current event that is going on in World of Warcraft. If you guys have not heard, this is a 50% XP buff event that is lasting for at least the next 3 weeks. Now, full disclaimer right here, this video is not how to make gold right now. I've already uploaded that video on Tuesday. If you're watching this when this day releases, that was 2 days ago, and so I will leave that in the description down below. That is technically part 1 of this mini-series, and so if you're somebody who is looking on how to make thousands of gold during this event, that video is for you. But if you are somebody who wants to know how to utilize this event to make a ton of gold in the future, then this video is for you. Hopefully you may be interested in both, so I highly recommend checking out part 1 before you watch this video, but it's completely up to you. But I just wanted to make that clear because I don't want to waste your time, so if you are looking for actual gold methods, go check the previous video. But if you are here to stay, thank you so much, and hopefully this video will help you out for Dragonflight. So let me back up and actually explain what this video is. So right now, if you guys don't know, the Winds of Wisdom buff is back for the next 3 weeks at minimum. This is a 50% XP bonus, so anybody who is leveling characters can level a ton faster. Now I say this lasts at least 3 weeks because this lasts till pre-patch, but we do not have an official pre-patch release date. However, the quote-unquote leaked release date is October 25th, which isn't exactly 3 weeks. However, this could go for a lot longer. And so what we are discussing in this video is basically how to utilize this current event to help you prep for the future. We will be discussing why and how many characters you should be leveling. We are going to be discussing how to utilize the other people who are also leveling characters, and also just give you some potential things you want to think about for Dragonflight. But without further ado, let's jump right into this video. As always, if you find anything useful from this video, leaving a like to let other people know would be amazing, and subscribe if you want to see more. But everybody, thank you so much. And here we go. So to get started, we're going to start at the very basics. Beginners, I am talking to you, so if you are a more advanced gold maker, hold on for just 1 second. But if you are a brand new gold maker who is looking to improve their gold making, the best thing you can do is diversify. Now you may or may not have heard this term before. It just means, let's say you have 10,000 gold, instead of spending 10,000 gold on a single type of item, you should spend that 10,000 gold maybe on 10 different items, or 20 different items, even 5 different items, basically more than one. And so the best way to diversify, to artificially just get more recipes, is to have access to more professions. And that is where this first beginner tip occurs. And so the first goal of this event is to level 6 level 60s, or have 6 level 60s. So if you currently only have 3, you should level 3 more. The reasoning behind this is what I just talked about. It's going to give you more professions, which means you will have more access to recipes. Now currently in the game there are 11 primary professions, which is where this 6 number comes from. Each character can only have 2 primary professions, so you will have 5 characters with 2, while 1 character with 1. Now, I know the next biggest question is going to be about combos. A lot of people say, okay, what professions should I group together? And I will just flat out say, it does not matter too much, because combos pretty much change with every single expansion. So the best in slot quote-unquote combos that were best in BFA were not the same that are currently in Shadowlands, and the Shadowlands combos will not be best in Dragonflight. It's very unrealistic to change your combos every single expansion, so I would pick something that best fits your need and just go for it. I will give a few suggestions to just kind of get your head thinking, but please don't take these as things you have to do. The first one is grouping gathering professions together. So if you level up a character, I highly recommend having mining and herbalism on the same character. The reasoning is whenever you are going out to farm, herb farms and ore farms normally overlap. I always use the Vashtir farm as an example because obsidian ore overlaps with Ajara's Veil so nicely. So instead of having to farm one or the other, you basically get 2 routes in one, which just increases your gold efficiency. If you are somebody who has watched the previous part of this video talking about exactly how to make gold, you notice I talk about armor professions, and that is yet again one of the best combos for Shadowlands. So if you're somebody who is kind of in the moment and you want to group in terms of reputation grinds, the best thing to do is group your 4 armor professions together. My personal recommendation is blacksmithing and jewel crafting, as they share the same materials, and then grouping tailoring and leatherworking together as well. They also share almost the same materials. Then lastly, my only other suggestion is to think about utilities of professions. For example, if you are somebody who does a lot of raiding or Mythic Plus, it may be beneficial to have alchemy on your main character, because you get that bonus of having longer durations of your flasks, which technically have nothing to do with gold making, but it can just make your other WoW life a lot easier. Another example of this is engineering. If you are somebody who uses the wormhole toy to get around Shadowlands or any other location very fast, having engineering on that main character can be very beneficial. Lastly, another just quick suggestion is if you are somebody who wants to make a ton of gold at the start of the expansion, think about having enchanting on your main character. Your main character is the one who is going to be getting the most gear, whether that's just random BOE drops, random rewards from quest, or this will be your character that you take into dungeons first. Being able to disenchant unwanted gear at the start of expansions will be very beneficial. Eternal crystals used to go for thousands of gold apiece at the start of Shadowlands just because epic quality gear was hard to come by. Your main character will most likely be the Toon who's getting the most epic quality pieces. But there we go, that is my first beginner suggestion, and we're going to move on to number 2. Now, my second suggestion is where we actually get into utilizing other people, and this is creating yourself a guild bank if you don't have any already. Now, the main reason why this is so important is because inventory space is going to be a very big deal in Dragonflight. Even though we are getting increased stack sizes and we're also getting an extra reagent bag slot, inventory is going to be such a big problem. I don't know if you guys have seen the trending and just kind of funny photos that people are posting on Twitter. I will make sure to put one on screen, but this is a screenshot from somebody who just spent a few hours leveling up their profession, and this is what their bag looked like. Imagine your bag looking like this, but you also have to carry your gear, your potions, your food if this is your main character, and just everything else, if you actually do current content besides just crafting on this single Toon. So being able to store this stuff in your personal bank and also in a bank that has a lot more space will be very, very good. Now, the reason why I bring it up just right now is because guild banks will be the easiest to create as there's so many low levels around. Normally, the best people to go to and ask to sign your guild charter are low levels. Normally because they're not attached to any guild, it's just some alt somebody created, and if you offer a few hundred gold, that will give people the incentive to sign, as they will likely use that gold to help them buy some bags. That's a hint, yet again, to the first part of the series. But yeah, if there could be a best time to look for low-level characters, this would be the best time to do so. But alright, Now we are going to transition into the more kind of advanced topics. So if you're somebody who's sitting here saying, yes, Penguin, I have all professions. Yes, Penguin, I have guild banks. All right, what can I do? And this is where we're going to start thinking about potentially duplicating professions. And the first main topic are masteries. Now, I've kind of already talked about this before, but let's look at alchemy. So generally, like I said, if you just have one alchemist, you can craft all of the potions, all of the items you want in the world. However, there are actually 3 subcategories to the profession alchemy. You have potion mastery, elixir mastery, as well as transmute mastery, and you cannot have all 3 of these on a single character, which means you need 3 alts to be 3 different alchemists. Now you may be wondering, okay, what's so important about these masteries? But they're super important to make gold. A ton of gold nowadays with a region-wide auction house is utilizing potion and transmute mastery in order to gain extra procs to lower your crafting cost. Titanium bars as well as Arcanite bars have been huge for me with transmute mastery, as well as the potion of treasure finding with potion mastery. Then if you are somebody who has access or wants to farm the Vial of the Sands, which is an alchemist mount, then you should have an elixir master in order to craft that mount at the cheapest way possible. But with that being said, that means we need at least 2 more alts to cover our alchemist. Technically, if you have 6 characters, you have that open spot. As I mentioned, there are only 11 primary professions, so you can stick another alchemist as that 12th slot. Then you need another alt to cover the last mastery. Another great example of this is engineering. There are 2 different masteries of engineering, which is the gnomish tree as well as the goblin tree. Now, really what this does is it just gives you different types of items. The biggest example and the most profitable example really out there are the 2 different mounts that are tied to each kind of specialization. Gnomish has the ability to craft the World Spinner, which is a mop mount, while the Goblin crafts the rocket version of this mount. They both come from Pandaren engineering, however, you can't craft both at the same time because they require that specialization. So without a second alt to cover engineering again, you would be missing out on a huge opportunity of items to sell. So that is kind of where part 3 comes to play. Yes, you might have all basic professions covered, but make sure you have all varieties, as yet again, diversity is a big key in professions, and this is the best way to diversify and the easiest way to get more recipes. And moving on, we kind of have this final category, which I just want to call looking towards the future. Now this is specifically Dragonflight related, and I plan to go more in depth with this in the future in my actual Dragonflight guides, but I just want to give you a quick heads up right here. I just talked about masteries, and now we're going to transition into cooldowns. Now a big cooldown in Dragonflight is the certain type of bolts from tailoring. There is the Azure Weave bolts, as well as the Chrono Cloth bolts, and both of these have a daily cooldown. Now, the reason why this is so important is because of what these bolts are used in crafting. Of course, you can likely assume that these bolts are used for the high-level mythic quality gear, which is of course correct. But a key point to these bolts is that they are used for the best in slot bags. So if you want the 34 slot bags, the reagent bag, as well as the normal bag, you actually have to use these bolts. Which by default, of course, if you upgrade your spec tree, you will be able to do more per day and have a shorter cooldown, but by default, you will only be able to do 1 about every single day. Which means if we take a look at the recipe, let's take a look at the reagent bag, you need 6 of these items, which means you could basically only craft 1 bag a week unless you unlock your spec tree, or you have multiple tailorers. So if you guys have time to level, if you guys have an alt army for whatever reason, or you want to make an alt army, look at Dragonflight cooldowns. We all know bags are super important to this game, and a lot of people are going to want the most bag space they can get. So if you're able to actually produce a ton of these bags before everybody else, that will be super beneficial and you will make a ton of gold. The great thing about this is actually to unlock these recipes, it doesn't take long at all, so you will be able to easily mass produce this with multiple alts without it requiring multiple hours per day. Now, just to throw another one out there before making this video too long, is also alchemy. A big thing about Dragonflight alchemy is that it requires a lot of discovery, which means you have to craft a certain thing and you will get a random potion or recipe to craft. Which means in order to unlock all potions as fast as possible, being able to run this discovery every single day on multiple alts will unlock them faster. Of course, this is never required, but if you're somebody who is looking to make the most gold possible at the start, this is something to look into. Also, non-Dragonflight related, cooldowns with alchemy is always very beneficial. You have the transmute living seal, and you have all of those different things that you can utilize multiple alchemists. So it's kind of a win-win for either way. But yeah guys, that is it. I apologize, this video is very kind of on the technical side, which I know is not everybody's cup of tea, but hopefully this can give you a little bit more of an idea of what to do during this event. Of course, make sure you sell some items, make sure you make some gold, but if you're somebody who loves to prep for the future, hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight. Of course, if you have any more recommendations or you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I will try my best to answer them. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you were able to take away at least one key point from this video, and as always, have a good day.